This week on One Day Leader, we find out who our last top 3 finalists are. Good evening, Sanbonani, and a warm welcome nina nonke lapho emakhaya namkelwa yiyo ke intombi yakwamtimandu Shongwe khona la ku One Day Leader. You are tuned in to the second episode of One Day Leader Season 8. Now, tonight's topic is all about the 4th Industrial Revolution, which is something that's been on everybody's mind and on everybody's lips. But Mzansi Ingabe say understand kahle lento ye 4IR ukuthi imayelana nani. The term 4th Industrial Revolution was coined by Klaus Schwab, founder and executive of the World Economic Forum. Now, it describes the bringing together of advances of artificial intelligence, robotics, Internet of Things, machine learning, and many other technologies. Babugeli, it debate topic namhlanje. It's pretty straightforward. Are South Africans ready for the 4th Industrial Revolution? I need to answer the question that's been on your mind since last week. Who exactly made it into our final top 6? Let's see who your leaders for this season will be.
My name is Ndumiso. What I believe is fundamental is to not live life in isolation.
Pretty girl, we wish you well, go well, enjoy yourself, represent us well there. We know that you will do that.
I think what I came into the show for was to challenge myself beyond what I had already known.
This debate isn't about people in the private sector who have the benefit of easily accessing healthcare systems.
What I expected out of the show was the challenge of seeing the skills that I have built through the sports, being debating, apply to real-life issues that are a bit more close to my realities.
She's here behind her podium. Let's welcome Ndumiso to One Day Leader Season 8. Your vision statement, please.
Who taught us to look outside ourselves, our communities, and our unique values for solutions? For the longest time, Black people and women have been taught that they are inherently inferior or without the capacity to meaningfully contribute to discussion. However, I am a believer in and an advocate for the capacity of individuals to contribute to solutions on the matters that directly affect them. Bagiti, people-centered solutions to our problems.
Thank you very much, Leader 1. Let's see who our next contestant is.
I'm Tobani Timatikizela. I'm from Pizana in Transkei, that's in Eastern Cape.
Recently, government sent military to go and protect people in Western Cape, but guess what? In Manenberg, they were robbed guns that they went there with those guns.
Yeah. The last day with him, last night. Tomorrow, we're taking him to the airport.
I think I've always been leading from the society which I was born from, but now I'm here to try and get my ideas and visions contested by fellow contestants so that when I leave here, I leave with better knowledge and a better shaped vision and direction of where and how should I go about in saying that I want to become a better leader in society.
A warm welcome to you, Leader 2, Tobani Matigizela. Your vision statement, please.
I'm an African seed that was taught French Revolution and not the Battle of Isandlwana. I was taught that my Black heroes are criminals when they were fighting for liberation. But today, I am therefore reminded that Steve Biko was my hero. Chris Hani taught me patriotism of being an African. However, in that I'm taught that this land I live in, it is not given unto me by my forefathers, but it is the land that I was given by my children, so that one day I may return it to them as an African land with an African identity. South Africa, Africans, join me in building an Africa with an African-centered nation and an African-centered identity. Mayihlome Africa.
Thank you very much. We're moving along swiftly to welcome our 3rd contestant.
My name is Zizipo Alulo Africa Mtyobile, originally from Eastern Cape. I've resided in Durban for years, and I'm a strong believer. When I believe in something, I stand my ground. But in that, I'm also very open-minded.
I wish you all the best.
Rapid technological advances in renewable energy, fuel efficiency, energy storage, etc. And I'm here to shed light. I strongly believe that young people are the architects of society, and I'm a representation of that. And I'm hoping that will get across. I'm also hoping to learn and to also be challenged so my weaknesses can become strengths.
That is Leader 3, Zizipo Mtyobile. Welcome to One Day Leader. Your vision statement, please.
I am on a mission
To establish contact beyond the grave, to assure our past heroes that their struggle was not in vain. But most importantly, to remind you and I that our voices were not drowned by the echoes of our forefathers from the bullets of the colonialists. Africa is not poor. Africa is being robbed by our apathy, silence, and neutrality. For socio-economic transformation and emancipation, South Africa needs a new citizen, a catalyst for change, a surgeon for humanity, and an advocate for Africanism. If not you and I, then who? If not now, then when?
Thank you very much, Leader 3. And now we move along swiftly to Leader 4.
I am Zanele Madlazi. I was born and raised in Soweto. I was raised by my mother, who's a single parent, and she raised the four of us, my big sister, my twin sister, myself and my little brother.
But we need to do this in a more educative, informative way. Things like don't drink and drive, things like drink responsibly. These are very vague statements from alcohol producers. What does it mean to drink responsibly?
So today, what's awesome about being in Top 6 is that I will actually be on the ground trying to then look at possible situations and implement them here and there. That's my biggest contribution or expectation about being in the season.
Standing proudly behind her podium, it's Leader 4. A very warm welcome to you, Zanele Madlazi. Your vision statement, please.
The Soweto uprising of 1976 displayed young black people from the township who did not allow adversity to dampen their spirit. Born and bred in Soweto, I am here to remind young people from economic peripheries that we are more than just unemployment, crime, hopelessness, and drug addiction. I lead a transformative education movement which does not merely teach the marginalized how to read and write, but which restores their ability to recognize their power and use adversity to fuel prosperity. #ZizojiDizinto.
Thank you very much. Up next, we welcome Leader 5.
My name is Vosekombe. I was born and bred in Diepkloof, Soweto. I recently completed my honors in politics and international relations at the University of Johannesburg.
And I found myself as one of 6 young leaders who made it to One Day Leader Season 8. This is my family.
We need to create a situation where there must be a sensible health debate around responsible consumption, because unproven laws are not the answer.
I'm here not because of how good I am or because I was better than all the other applicants. You know, I believe that if it's your time, it's your time.
We now welcome Leader number 5, Vusi Gumbi. Your vision statement, please.
The creation of a peaceful and prosperous society that includes all people of all races, regardless of gender and transcending sexual orientation, is the development of professionals with a sociological understanding for societies within which they operate. Restoring prosperity and promoting the cause of peace for all. South Africa, I am the one you've been waiting for.
Thank you very much. And now let's take a look who our 6th leader is.
My name is Belle Marx-Miller. I'm from the Western Cape, born and bred. I am a 2-time UCT graduate. I finished my BA at the University of Cape Town in 2016.
I've worked really hard to get to the top 6.
Empowering learners to truly achieve upward mobility, break the poverty cycle. In terms of what I'm bringing to the top 6, I think definitely a sense of humility. I never walk into a situation thinking that I am the be-all and end-all authority on anything. Additionally, I also think that I approach situations with a unique sense of problem solving and critical creative thinking, which I think sets me apart.
She is Leader 6 and her name is Belle Miller. Welcome to One Day Leader. Your vision statement, please.
My voice, my mind, my life. 3 things I will use to fight for those whose suffering is silenced. Youth hindered by a lackluster education system. Women under siege by the patriarchy, from the gender pay gap to gender-based violence. Queer bodies systemically excluded from all sectors of society. The 99% who've been repeatedly failed by the state. And Black Africans who continue to live under the dictatorship that is the legacy of apartheid. South Africa, I give you my voice, my mind, my life.
Well, South Africa, there you have it, your one-day leader, Season 8 Top 6. We wouldn't have our Top 6 had it not been for our judges. They are Ms. Gugulethu Mhlungu, who has over 10 years' experience in media. Currently, she's a deputy editor for a leading South African magazine and was the winner of the 2015 Columnist of the Year at the Legends Media Awards. Let's give a round of applause. Ndumiso Hadebe could not be with us today, but do not despair. We have one-day leader, alumni, entrepreneur, youth development and capacity building expert. He calls himself a nation builder by profession, but first and foremost, he's a husband and a proud father. Do you welcome and put your hands together for Bowe. And of course, we do have our guest judge here in studio with us today. I know that he is a familiar face. He is a group chairman of GEM Group. He's an international speaker, a turnaround strategist, and dragon investor. Please welcome Mr. Lebo Kunguluza. Now, Lebo, I'm going to start with you, and I know that this is a loaded question. We don't have enough time, unfortunately, but quickly just give us your understanding of what the Fourth Industrial Revolution is and how it's going to impact the way in which we do business.
Well, I think, as you know very well, that the Fourth Industrial Revolution came through the advent of about a number of technologies, and the first one being mobile. And because mobile came into the fore, clearly that people could access a lot of markets because there's about 5 billion people who use mobile phones, and the world has got a population of 7.8 billion. And in South Africa alone, in Africa alone, there's 250 million users of mobile phones. That means that companies now are targeting those users to access them as markets. That's the first part. The second part is the innovation around cloud computing and cloud. It means that your content no longer sits on servers and no longer sits on your files and everywhere else in the world. It sits in the cloud. The third one is the concept around algorithms. Algorithms is actually predictive technology. That means that people are learning and machine is learning, and there's all sorts of activities that are creating predictive methodologies. And one of them being what you call artificial intelligence, hence the advent of robotics, because it means that all jobs that are now predictable, they can now be replaced by robotics. Now, you only need technology to be successful.
All right, thank you very much. That's a mouthful and great insights there, Lebo. We're going to take a quick break. We've got a whole lot more excitement when we come back. Our debates will be underway. Ninganyagazi. Konalago, one-day leader. Thank you so much for staying with us, Konalago, SABC1. Babugeli, like the electricity we take for granted, for instance, the Fourth Industrial Revolution is permeating in all facets of our lives. We're living in a hyper-connected world, one powered by essential technologies such as artificial intelligence, the Internet of Things, advanced data analytics, and of course, blockchain. Now, for their first task of the season, our leaders were asked to come up with a big business idea that is aligned to 4IR and then sell it through an elevator pitch to 3 judges who are leaders in the venture and futurist landscape. But before we get into that, they had to investigate how 4IR is already playing out in other industries in South Africa, and of course to find out for themselves if they are ready for 4IR. Let's take a look and see what they discovered and learned.
Our task was to go to the CSIR to try to find out about their current innovations, particularly concerning to mining.
The task that we got for this episode had 2 components. The first component was visiting the site and conducting kind of like an interview, fieldwork research with a relevant expert in that field. So my group was assigned the automobile industry.
What do you know about the Fourth Industrial Revolution?
That it is very broad and that at best no one has ever discussed it as a single concept that just means one thing.
I think the fourth industrial revolution is well upon us and gaining great momentum. If you consider that cars started off from the basis of a horse-drawn carriage and the horse turned into an engine, so the carriage was pulled by an engine, and basically evolved from there, which was a wooden frame ostensibly, then became a wooden frame with metal, and then as technology grew and progressed, you know, the idea of this carriage propelling itself kind of really took off as a big hit in the world and changed all of our lives.
If we look at the current models, specifically in the automobile industry, what would you say about the sustainability and efficiency?
We are used to technology in electronic devices being incredibly, the pace being incredibly huge. You know, you get a cell phone and in 2 years the new model does so much more than the last one, and we thought the one we got was so amazing anyway. You know, and cars are going that way.
They have the rock pulse machine, which detects cracks in the mines. They try to then patent that type of machinery and sell it to markets.
The reason we want to do that is to get a history of these vibrations on the ground. And if the history changes, if we see there's a trend in change, then these might lead to a collapse on the ground. And we want to give advance warning to the people that are on the ground.
But this car has every line, every crease has a purpose and does something to it, which is an evolution and a revolution as far as car designing is concerned. So you look at how the door opens, easy to get in. So they've taken a carbon fiber tub and they've lowered the sill, so it's much easier for you to get in and out of. The early carbon fiber cars had a high sill, so you literally had to climb in and out of the cars.
Once you find yourself physically within this modern marvel of engineering, I think it's only then that you grasp the sheer power of it and how much time and thought and very careful precision and work went into creating this feat of modern engineering.
Now we'll find out from our judges here in studio how our leaders performed in their task. Googs, are we ready as a country to undergo this revolution?
I think the intention is there, but if we look just for instance, our education system, that's quite a key fundamental part of how we would determine readiness, right? Because there are very different things in how we determine readiness. So education and access are just two of the more obvious ones, but they're two of the biggest ones. And once we kind of get that right, then we can start saying we're ready. That said, we must prepare anyway.
Thank you very much, Googs. Tammy, I know that there's a strict criteria. I know that you guys are really being hard on the contestants this season because the game has elevated. How have you scored our leaders based on their first task?
So the first group, Group A, got 18 out of 30, right? And the second group, which is the winner, was 26 out of 30. So shout out to you guys, right? And I think the biggest thing here, and I think which was the feedback that we'd read from the different judges who were actually judging the presentations, and for us as well as we were actually watching the insert, is simply the clarity of the product.
All right, judges, thank you very much. You've heard what our judges have to say, and you heard our leaders' vision statements. When we come back, we're going to find out what they've got to say in their actual debates. We'll see them take on each other. Are you ready? This is One Day Leader Season 8. Siyabuya. You are still watching One Day Leader Konalagu SABC 1. Ikumbule, we're discussing all things 4IR, the fourth industrial revolution, and what could be its pros and cons to the South African society, our economy, and of course the labor market. Nikumbule nanlape you can be a part of our conversation by sharing your thoughts and comments on any of our social media platforms. This is One Day Leader Season 8. Now, we are almost ready to kick off our first round of debates, but before we do that, let's take a look at the new rules of engagement. You have 60 seconds to propose. 90 seconds to debate, and 30 seconds to conclude. Our debate topic for tonight is, are South Africans ready for the 4IR, the Fourth Industrial Revolution? Debate yokuqala is going to be between Leader 1 and Leader 6. You know the rules of engagement. Leader 1, your 60 seconds start now.
What this debate requires is for us to interrogate whether South Africans have a degree of understanding of and preparation for the 4IR. My burden in this debate is to show that South Africans are not prepared, specifically looking at two accounts. One, employment, as well as our engagement with, as well as advancement in technology. On employment, South Africa is not ready because the skills available in the labor market do not match the skills required in a technologically advancing economy. The Labor Market Intelligence Partnership has showed that South Africa has an increase in has a low number of highly skilled workers and a surplus of less skilled workers. How we therefore prepare for this is to prioritize less manual labor-related skills that the World Economic Forum has said to be the essential ones for the Fourth Industrial Revolution, namely problem solving, critical thinking, creativity, leadership, and coordinating with others. Secondly, we ought to encourage the enrollment into university majors that aren't easily automated. So, for example, psychology.
Thank you very much.
For example,
time is up.
medicine.
Leaders, you have 90 seconds to engage.
What I'm going to say in addition to this, before I proceed, yes.
Nothing you've said so far is contentious whatsoever. Please provide us with a tangible solution for how we can get South Africans to that stage of being prepared.
The point isn't to be contentious necessarily. The point is to provide a solution. You just concluded that I am. Essentially, the solution one is to prioritize skills that are necessary for this specific period, being the Fourth Industrial Revolution. The second solution is to encourage people to enroll into courses that aren't easily automated. I told you about journalism. I told you about psychology. Lastly, if people are already enrolled into these courses that are easily automated, in a moment, they can explore postgraduate programs that, one, accommodate a broad spectrum of fields, or postgraduate programs that focus more on managerial as well as creative kind of work. But before I proceed, yes, Belle.
Speaker, how do you propose that individuals gain access to these kinds of educational spaces? We know under the status quo it's exceptionally difficult for people to enter university space and study psychology, for example.
Difficulty doesn't mean that it's not going to happen. People, especially first years, have a significant difficulty entering into tertiary education. It doesn't mean that this is an entitlement that they ought to persevere to enter into. That's why we have state, state-sanctioned assistance. For example, ANSFAS. That's why we have corporations who support their own employees going back into university and attaining a tertiary education. We don't think that this is completely impossible. The second thing that we need to address is on the account of how we engage with technology, specifically looking at education.
All right, thank you very much. Your time is up. Leader 1, you have 30 seconds to conclude.
What is not clear is what the Fourth Industrial Revolution is. What it is that it is characterized and intended for the advancements that have an impact in our lives. What is therefore important is that we prepare ourselves accordingly, that we ensure that we can have some sense of security through employment, and that we can have some sense of advancement when looking at sectors such as education. How we do this is by, one, acquiring the necessary skills for this time, and secondly,
time's up. Thank you very much. Leader 1, your time is up. Please adhere to the rules. The tables are turned. Leader 6, you have 60 seconds.
Contrary to what Lindor tells you, panel, we know the Fourth Industrial Revolution is about automation and digitization, radical in scale, scope, and complexity. Economists expect advances in technology, greater productivity, profit maximization, but greater inequality. The effect on South Africa is twofold. Firstly, creativity, and secondly, displacement, specifically individuals working routine, repetitive, and predictable jobs. Thus, 4IR could further entrench inequality. However, new jobs are going to emerge requiring new skills. Note, panel, workers are protected if their jobs require human interaction based on emotional intelligence. This renders people distinct even from strong AI. We prepare South Africans in two key respects. Firstly, state, businesses, and individuals taking action themselves, and secondly, the third sector working with automation and digitization instead of competing against it to uplift society at large. Thus, while South Africans might not be ready for the Fourth Industrial Revolution right now, we can become actively involved in the Fourth Industrial Revolution quickly and meaningfully.
Thank you very much, Leader 6. Your time is up. Contestants, you can engage.
Let's first discuss the key actors and their roles. The state must embrace digitization, invest in human capital, mitigate the impact in a moment, mitigate the impact of the fourth industrial revolution in terms of job loss, and foster job creation. Businesses need to rethink strategy, upgrade their workforce planning and reskilling, and embrace new ways of working. Individuals must prioritize soft skills over certifications. This is a direct clash with the matter from Speaker 1. Commit to lifelong learning, target high-growth sectors and roles, and find opportunities for entrepreneurship. Before my second argument, Lindo, yes.
That is exactly what I argue. Things like soft skills are the very solutions that I provided. So how do you then differentiate from what I'm saying?
The difference between the model that you've proposed and the model that I'm proposing is this does not require you to enter a tertiary education space, which is highly exclusionary on the basis of capital, right? Second argument, right? Onto this idea of the third sector. It's important to remember workers are protected if their job requires human interaction. I'll get to you just now. The third sector includes charities, volunteer organizations, NGOs, NPOs, the civil society sector, etc. There are currently 350 million workers employed in this sector globally. These organizations are devoted to particular social issues or groups which require solving, support, or representation. This is directly aligned with fourth industrial work requirements and societal needs, and it's echoed by what Bryn Joffelson's arguments about finding work one is passionate about to thrive in the fourth industrial revolution. Lindo, yes.
So that is fine so essentially what I'm not understanding is how does your solution differentiate from what I'm saying? Because the organizations that you talk about, people who implement all of these
Thank you very much. Time is up. Leader 6, you have the remaining 30 seconds.
4IR may be disruptive, but it's an incredible opportunity for productivity, growth, and job creation. Digitization and automation double productivity, per capita income, and real GDP growth. This means we could see the creation of well over 1 million jobs, especially for women and recent graduates. Through the combined efforts of the public, private, and education sectors, harnessing automation and digitization, we can bring about a skills revolution in South Africa to actively prepare South Africans for a prosperous future under the fourth industrial revolution.
Right in the nick of time. Thank you very much, leaders. Googs, let me start with you. Your impressions on that first debate tonight.
I think a great way to start the evening. I think you guys managed to tease out some of the issues. I would have liked to have heard a little bit more. I think, Belle, you touched on this quite a bit, the issue of inequality and how that being South Africa's biggest challenge and permeates every part of South African life would become one of the biggest factors in how, A, we get ready for the fourth industrial revolution, but also how we then become a part of the fourth industrial revolution. I think a very great start to tonight's debate.
All right, you've heard what our judges have to say. We're going to quickly get the verdict. I can see you're still writing. Are you ready for us? Yeah, go ahead.
The winner for this debate is leader number 6, Belle.
All right, thank you very much. Congratulations, Leader 6. For you at home, the voting lines are officially open and will only be closed on Monday afternoon at 12 midday. Ngakho-ke votela umholi omthanda kakhulu ngok-SMS igama elithi leader and their number to our SMS line, which is 34708. Do not vote for your favorite, basically. We're going to take a quick break. Kodwa babukeli njengoba nisavota nikhumbule ukuthi your votes will be revealed at the top of next week's episode. We get to our next round of debates. Welcome back to One Day Leader. Before the break, we saw our first round of debates, and it was a sure sign of things to come for the season of the show. Our debate topic for tonight is, are South Africans ready for the fourth industrial revolution? Next up is our second debate, and we'll be hearing from you, Leader 2 and Leader 3. You know the rules of engagement by now. Leader 2, your 60 seconds start now.
The fourth industrial revolution offers cyber physical systems to cooperate. The fourth industrial revolution seeks to incorporate cyber and physical systems that will become profitable in society, aiming to build smart factories, smart working societies, and redefining the role of human beings in the state and in the economic sector. But the greatest question is, what role are we truly redefining when inequality, job loss, unemployment are continually gradually growing? What are we truly redefining when there's still mad schools in Eastern Cape and in Limpopo, when education in our country is still not yet digitalized and economy and education is not truly focused on what should be this day? The greatest question is, how then do we look into what is happening? My duty in this debate is to tell you, one, truly, we are not yet ready for fourth industrial revolution. But then we could become a society that seeks to bring about systems into place that will make us to be ready for the fourth industrial revolution.
All right, thank you very much. Leaders, you have 90 seconds to engage.
Leader, you spoke about systems. Can you specify?
You're asking me to go to my solutions. Now, this is what happens. If you seek to see government should now start working with its own people. Now, I have 3 cardinal pillars that were once proposed by one of the economists in South Africa. The first cardinal pillar that could help us to become a society that is ready for fourth industrial revolution, it is the infrastructure layout that we have in South Africa. We should look into advancing our mobile structure as a continent and as a nation. If we start having an understanding of data acquisition, big data, small data, cloud data, having that sort of infrastructure into place, and an infrastructure that is going to allow us to be able to be mobile and to be able to seek to reach to all those regions that have been deprived of the ability to get such information. Secondly, we need to look at national skilling. Digital economy should be the basics. We should specialize in digital economy and digital inclusive chain that is going to advance and it's going to equip people to have better advanced skills.
So based on everything you said, how will South Africa secure economic growth for its citizens without compromising global competitiveness and the productivity that comes from digital technologies?
Thank you. Now, the greatest question that she's posing to us is, how then are we going to be competing with the global world if we are not going to be focusing on what the global world is doing? Guess what? Let me tell you.
Time is up. Thank you very much, Leader 2. You have 30 seconds.
Okay. This is what happens. In China, when they were undergoing the second revolution, they realized that they were one of the most impoverished countries in the world. So they decided not to compete with America and compete with Russia. They decided to look at what could specifically work for them as China. And they focused on that. And once they did that, today China is one of the biggest growing economies. South Africa does not need to compete with China. It does not need to compete with America. They're creating 5G. We do not even know how to create 3G. So it means that we should look at the skills that are needed in our economy.
Thank you very much, Leader 2. Your time is up. Leader 3, it's your turn. Your 60 seconds start now.
35% of almost all jobs in South Africa will be digitally automated in the next 10 years. Artificial intelligence is one of the major digital technologies has been proven to have the potential to boost labor productivity by 40% by 2035. And if it is made a factor of production, it will enable South Africa to double its economy 5 years earlier. And if South Africa doubles the rate at which the workforce acquires the appropriate skills for the fourth industrial revolution, job loss can be reduced from 20% to 14% by 2025. Now, the key intervention here is for all stakeholders, leaders, to shape and prepare the workforce in South Africa at large for humans to be able to collaborate with machines, because digital revolution is inevitable. How do we do this? Specifically by adjusting our education models to upskill the current and next generation, to catalyze innovation for digital transformation and to develop a human-machine friendly environment, but most importantly, to accelerate the pace at which the workforce acquires skills.
Time is up. Thank you very much. Your leaders have 90 seconds to engage.
Continue.
So these adjustments in the era will require economic focus and political attention. But specifically, if we look at our stakeholders and leaders, the government needs to make digital technology accessible across areas such as infrastructure, skills, connectivity, incentives, policy frameworks and regulation. Large corporates are responsible for providing lifelong skills training to communities and employees at large, and reskilling the workforce therefore has to become a norm. And they can also reduce job loss by creating job alternatives through reskilling initiatives. Yes?
Point, ma'am. I would like to understand, you're speaking about mass reskilling so that people are accessible in this digital economy. Can you kindly tell us how will you reskill these people? Because we understand that most of the people that are current leaders and those that are educated in our society, they do not understand the basic concept of cyber technology. So then how do you go about into this utopia of yours?
Okay, I've explained the basic topic, the essence of what the 4IR is. And if we look at education specifically, then learning institutions need to tackle digital illiteracy and consider an improved technical education system, one that will produce graduates who are innovative and internationally oriented. We need a system that will allow learning across non-governmental organizations, governmental organizations, institutions of research, education, etc. Organized labor needs to adapt and learn how to use this technology to enhance processes that exist. Yes.
With the great
you won't have an opportunity, unfortunately, Leader 2. Time is up. Leader 3, you have the remaining 30 seconds to conclude.
Digital technologies and automation will overcome physical limitations of capital and labor, revealing new sources of value and growth, increasing efficiency and global competitiveness. Without these, the economy will stagnate. The question should not be whether we are ready or not. South Africa is Africa's leading industrialized nation. The question should be, what skills do we need to unlock the advantages in the digital technology, and what actions should the stakeholders and society at large take to prepare? Because digital technologies and automation are...
Time is up. Thank you very much, leaders. I'll go to our guest judges.
For me, the debate that these guys had, I think they touched on some very, very important things that can change an economy. For example, Tobani there mentioned an issue around smart technologies. You know, when you create smart everything, it means that you're becoming a smarter country, and smart means efficiency. And I think that's very critical, what you've said, Tobani, because it's very important to define what kind of a country are you? Are you a smart country? Are you not a smart country? And obviously, if you're not a smart country, you lag behind other countries in terms of productivity. And then obviously, you mentioned also the issue of data and the importance of having infrastructure that supports the whole idea and the labor force around the country. That means that you have to make sure that internet is accessible so that young people can grab information from the internet, make them again smarter.
Thank you very much. I think we're all learning a thing or two. Thank you very much, Leader 2. Thank you very much to you, Lebo. Tammy, the verdict, please.
Leader number 3, Zizipo.
Okay. Thank you very much and congratulations to you. Our next debate is pretty obvious. It's going to be between Leader 4 and 5. You are familiar with the rules of engagement by now, Leader 4. Your 60 seconds start now.
Panel. The steam engine of the 1700s allowed England to mass extract minerals from its colonies, but at the same time, it meant that mine workers in Johannesburg worked in unsafe underground mines for peanuts. Same revolution, different outcomes. Simply put, we are not ready for the 4th Industrial Revolution, but this is what we can do to prepare. The new development bank by BRICS tells us that 2 pillars that prepare countries for 4IR are infrastructure development and education. This is how we tackle that as South Africa uniquely. We see that there is a lack of people in universities who are enrolled for STEM-related degrees such as engineering and applied mathematics. We need to incentivize students to enroll for these, and we need to support them to make sure that they graduate in record time and that they don't resort to humanities degrees when it becomes tough. So universities need to provide more support for these students and entice them by offering funding so that they enroll for these degrees in the first place. Secondly, we need to also prioritize infrastructure development in terms of hard infrastructure and softer infrastructure, which has been mentioned.
Time is up. Thank you very much. You leaders have 90 seconds to engage, rather.
Yeah, and we also need to reprioritize funds and give them to the Department of Science and Technology so that the research that we do can be time-based. Because if we see, for instance, the rock pulse that we went to see at the, the rock pulse that we went to see at the CIRR, we were told that it was being developed over 8 years. By the time it is taken to the mines, it is too late. So we need to be innovative and make sure that the Department of Science and Technology has enough funds to be innovative in time and catch up with the rest of the world and not bring an innovation of 4IR 8 years later. We'll see.
You talked about incentivizing students. The Department of Basic Education is already rolling out methods to get these students, but they are not passing. So how do you propose we do that?
The problem is that mathematical support in primary schools and high schools is a problem. So that it means that if we are going to incentivize students to get into STEM degrees, we need to firstly also strengthen mathematical inclinations from a primary school and a high school level. This requires the Department of Education, together with the Department of Higher Education, to work together and enroll programs that train teachers to teach maths better, to give support digitally, to allow people to use things like Khan Academy to be able to be exposed to training themselves in mathematics, and therefore will allow more people to get into universities, do STEM degrees, and also be supported by their universities. Yeah.
STEM disciplines are very important, but we cannot overshadow humanities because we also need professionals with a sociological understanding of the society.
I'm not disputing that. I'm not saying that we prioritize STEM and we leave humanities.
But that's what you said.
No, I'm saying we reprioritize. It means we take
Thank you very much, leaders. Your time is up. And Leader 4, your remaining 30 seconds.
3 solutions that I gave you today. We reprioritize STEM-related degrees. It doesn't mean doing away with humanities. It just means putting more money to allowing students to enroll for STEM degrees. Develop infrastructure, soft and hard infrastructure, roads, 5G internet. Deal with the load shedding problem because because that also means that we will have hindrances with regards to participating successfully in the digital economy, such as Uber Eats and Mr. Delivery. We need to reprioritize funds to give them to the Department of Science and Technology so that innovation happens in time and that we are not playing catch up and
Thank you, Leader 4. Time is up. You can give a round of applause. The tables are turned. Leader 5, it's your turn. Your 60 seconds start now, Leader 6.
A fundamental prerequisite in reaping the benefits of the fourth industrial revolution is skills development. Labor force with the skills required to create and manage for IR. And these disciplines are measured in disciplines such as maths and science. Discipline which, according to the global assessment, school students, we are doing badly in globally. From the Internet of Things to smart cities, South Africa, the list of buzzwords of the fourth industrial revolution are growing without tangible proof of how South Africans can benefit from it. So simply put, South Africans are not ready for the fourth industrial revolution. However, it is not all doom and gloom. We spoke about basic education. Currently, we've got schools of specialization in Gauteng, where they nurture and develop the talent of young kids in key disciplines such as ICT, maths, engineering, and technology. So if we can make sure that these schools of specialization are not only in Gauteng, but in all 9 provinces, we can make sure that we're able to adapt to the changing dynamics of the world and adapt to the fourth industrial revolution. And the second one is skills development. The development of communication is currently already...
Time is up. Thank you very much. You have 90 seconds to engage.
Vusi, you spoke about schools of specialization where people will specialize.
Yeah.
When these students get to university and they enroll for STEM degrees and they drop out, what type of support will you give them to ensure that they continue with the STEM-related
degrees? The schools
degrees?
of specialization are in basic education, not at higher education, so they start at the ground. Right now in Shongwe, we've got a school of specialization focusing on BM, where they're teaching children about the techniques of how to make a car.
Can I interject, Vusi?
Okay.
Yeah, so we have unemployed graduates who have been enrolling for humanities courses and therefore are not employed. I'm saying the kids that you use, that you take them to specialized schools, they must also be helped when they enroll to university to do STEM programs. How do you deal with that?
Currently, we've got a lucrative partnership between Gem Media Group and Thriving Network that is teaching small business leaders on how they can adapt and benefit from the fourth industrial revolution. If we take these mechanisms and put them in universities so that we can bridge the gap between university students and the labor force, that will make sure that they are equipped with the knowledge and the skills to remain in universities and adapt to the changing dynamics of the world. And most importantly, there's a partnership between the Department of Communications and large corporations like Vodacom and Telkom and Cisco. The latter has opened incubation hubs in South Africa that is helping small, micro, medium management enterprises on how they can access global experts so that they can develop business strategies within a digital framework. On top of that, the financial services sector, it is not all gloom, it is not all dark and gloom. We've got Time Bank. The first
all right, time is up. Leader 5, the remaining 30 seconds are yours to conclude.
We've got Time Bank, the first of its kind, which according to the Business Tech, is one of the 3 fastest digital growing banks in the world, which has over 1 million members. So it's, when it comes to the fourth industrial revolution, it's not all dark and gloom. It's all about using our context to make sure that we benefit from it. As from November 2019, we have over 1 million members of Time Bank. These are ordinary South Africans who are understanding the changing dynamics of the world and are moving towards a digital banking service. If that is not an indication that it's not dark and gloom and that we shall just make sure that these sectors come together.
Thank you very much. And that concludes our final debate. Tally your scores while I speak to Tammy as well on the side. I know you're very much involved with helping the leaders structure their content. Were you impressed with how they've improved as you've been working with them and mentoring them?
Very impressed. I think that the level of the debates is very, very high and very advanced. This is the advice that I have, though, to everyone on stage, including the people that just debated right now. The first thing you must consider is the pace of your solution. Because in a context of 4IR where jobs are being lost at such a rapid pace, how fast is your solution going to assist in that kind of context? So the pace of your solution is important. The second thing to consider is the universal applicability of your solution. We come in from a context of the real world, and we're always looking for the most relevant and implementable solutions.
Thank you very much. Googs, I know you're ready for verdicts.
Yes, I think quite unanimous from us, and this debate goes to Leader 5, Vusi.
All right, thank you very much. Congratulations, Vusi, and well done to all of you contestants for tonight. Yes, you at home, you'll find out exactly how our audience will have scored your favorite leaders for tonight. But before we get to all of that, we're going to take a quick break and make sure that you are voting and engaging with us on our social media platforms and getting in your last-minute thoughts, opinions, and comments. Stay with us. And thank you so much for being with us here on One Day Leader. Now, Babugeli, before we went to the break, we told you about how our audience was going to get an opportunity to vote for their favorite leader for tonight. Well, they got an opportunity to do that during the ad break. But before I let you know who tonight's favorite contestant is, let's get some parting words from our judges. I'll start with our guest judge, Lebo Kunguluza.
Thank you very much. I think, guys, the Fourth Industrial Revolution is a very critical era in our time. And I think for us, we must acknowledge that that reskilling of our workforce is probably the most critical part, because there's going to be so many jobs lost because everything is going to be automated. So I just want to say to most young people, they must keep a very open mind to the Fourth Industrial Revolutions so they can thrive before everyone else does.
All right. Thank you very much. Tammy, your parting words, please.
So I think it's very clear that everyone that's on this platform right now knows that they don't come as one, but they come as 10,000. And it was so clear in the vision statements as to how you've humanized this experience and ensured that the people at home know exactly what you represent.
Thank you very much. Judges, please give them a round of applause. The season is tough indeed, but as I told you during the break, that our studio audience had an opportunity to vote for you. And a big congratulations on this first debate. To Leader 5, Vusi, you are the audience's favorite for tonight. Thank you very much to our studio audience for casting their votes, as well as our judges. Let us now take a look at our first scoreboard. Now, remember, at home, we'll be showing your voting results at the top of next week's episode. Now, voting lines will close on Monday afternoon. Ngakho-ke gcwalisa i-airtime uvotele umholi omthanda kakhulu. Ngithanda ukubonga our candidates for tonight, our judges, our studio audience. Kanti-ke nalapha emakhaya ngoba nathi kulesi siqephu sethu se-One Day Leader Season 8. Ngeviki elandelayo, we'll be discussing yet another thought-provoking topic. Namhlanje-ke nginshaya ngalamagama athi, you can't solve a problem on the same level that it was created. You have to rise above it and meet it at the next level. Those are the words from Albert Einstein. And yes, that is how we conclude tonight's episode. Thank you very much, Mzansi, for watching. My name is Paul Shongwe. Umdimanzu bambolo yumageza ngelibisi yamantahleti. Asiphinde sihlanganeni futhi ngeviki elandelayo ngesikhathi esifanayo la ku-SABC1. Good night.